You have questions, we have answers. This is Jane Muller.
And this is Ken Muller. Welcome to our show, all about real estate with Ken and Jane. Well, Jane, we're through September almost, and that means it's time for a market recap of 2024, how the first 3 quarters went in the real estate market, and I'm going to look ahead a little bit.
Yeah, I'm glad. I mean, we had so good news last week with the Fed reduced the rate. And this year is very unique compared with the last few years. First of all, backtrack. The end last year, the market went down from June to December. So because the rate went up high 7, a certain time is almost 8. That's like crazy. So the market went down from, June towards. So I was really nervous. I thought, my God, good time can't be forever. Maybe that's a sign the market is going, even out.
Right.
To my surprise, the end of December, suddenly some talks, quietly in the market said rate going to go down in March. Oh, that was good though. So a lot of buyers came out during the Christmas time, New Year, January. And also this year, the inventory extremely short. Last few years, inventory has been tight. But this year is worse than last few years, especially the winter and spring market. So you have a lot of buyer came out because the rate went down. And then you have people, don't know what to do. They still thinking they don't want to sell. So the combination, low inventory, created very high price in winter and spring. The market went back up. I think average almost 10%. I couldn't believe it. A lot of houses we sold this year.
Yeah,
and the people meet me last year, like June, July, August, September, asked for the comparative market analysts. I gave them roughly a range. But by January, the range went up a lot. It's about 10%. It's like, the old house we listed in between December and April, May, went very fast and a high number.
Now you're saying the market went up 10% from December
to
May.
The price.
The price went up. And
not the unit sold.
For Central Jersey, but compared to 2022 or the beginning of
2023. Because think about it, Ken. The market was from 2023 by June until December. The market went down a little. I think maybe few point, 5% maybe, but it's not, they went down a little. So harder to sell, take much longer. But by January, the market turned around, went way up again. So which is good news.
But yeah, what's really interesting, what's really fascinating is that if you look back to 2019 before COVID hit, the market was on the upward trend. COVID hit in, 2020, I think, March 2020. Everybody didn't know nobody knew what to anticipate, whether the real estate was how it was going to be affected. It turns out, you get into this hyper, demand cycle.
Yes.
So the graph keep going up like on an angle. And then after COVID, you thought, oh, well, now we've reached the plateau. Yeah. And then there's still a gradual incline, as we covered on previous shows. And maybe to your point, Jane, that you said the market went down. Maybe it just stabilized. Stabilized and didn't go up any further. But then until last December through the first half of 2024, you started to see it again go up another 10% as compared. So that's really
Ken. You bring a very good point. Right. You use the word stabilize. A lot of my seller, if you don't sell their house 5 minutes, they call you. What's wrong with it? Yeah, because they used to on one day, one weekend. But now it takes much longer. It can take a 2-3 weekend.
Right. But I look back even in my career when I started, I do commercial now, but when I started in residential back in like 2014, 2015, it was the norm. Even I'd have to pull the data, but the normal time to sell a house might have been 40 days to 60
longer
days.
Than that.
Because you would see a lot of list agents. I mean, the inventory you carry at a longer time just because of the market.
Yeah, so 2-3 months. That's fast already.
That was already
time.
fast. Yeah. But now
because that time can the average listing. Average listing. Almost all the listings. It's a 6 months listing or a year. sometimes you sign 6 months, you extend, but sometimes people sign, some agent want the seller sign a whole year. That time it is slow. So for 2-3 months, get an offer negotiated, that's common. But now it's like from June last year till December, sometimes the house on the market could be week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, make the seller very nervous. As you said, they didn't really go down the job done. No, it's just more stabilized. It seems like more inventory because they didn't sell that fast.
Right. And what's also very interesting is that the interest rates were considered higher than they've been in the last 4 or 5 years, but nonetheless, due to the tight inventory, it was still a seller's market because of the extremely low inventory. The pricing was at least stabilized or maybe on the slight upward trend.
From January to May.
Secondly, the appraisal contingency was often the sellers still had the power to specify certain contractual terms, namely the waiving, buyers giving up the right on the appraisal contingency was no longer, if it didn't appraise, the buyer would have to eat the difference and contractually proceed. Yeah. They would limit the home inspection. So it was still
not limited to the structure.
Limited in terms of what they asked for.
Limited, yes, I'm sorry.
So it's just so interesting that with the interest rates that sometimes nobody can predict the economics market is just so complicated and so many moving parts that you have this moving, that moving, and who would have thought with the interest rates being at 7.5% or 7%, that the sellers would still be able to dictate the market.
Yeah, last year we were lucky because December there was a rumor the rate going down in March, so the mortgage industry react. Obviously, they sell on the news first, right? So the rate reflect that anticipation. So the rate went down. So January, February is really. It's really good. March came, didn't reduce, but the market is still good because they think they will. But by June, I don't know what happened in June this year. I just have first of all, from January to May, the inventory is tight, very tight, especially January, February, March. The winter market is really tight. There's almost, 20-some houses in the whole township to sell, from the condo to the $1 million house. We covered that in the
past. On a previous show.
Yeah.
We compared a town. We compared the Central Jersey MLS, and it was down the inventory was down 80 or 90. It was drastically
reduced. Yeah. But having said that, and from June 15th, I don't know why, suddenly the phone stopped ringing. I think that time because they didn't reduce the rate in June. So the rate went back up again. So like over 7. So that really created much slower summer, I think.
And I think also the message that the Fed conveyed not at the past Wednesday's a week ago Wednesday's meeting, but the prior message of Federal Chairman Powell was that it was a wait and see approach. They were going to check how the inflation data came in, and they didn't promise any further rate cuts, and so it was
the rate went back up.
So everybody there was an uncertainty in the buyers to pull the trigger. And
absolutely. So in June, July, August, we had a really very slow, almost 10 weeks. So, however, the end of August. In the Labor Day weekend, early September, suddenly the rate came down because anticipating of a reduction. But, the market become hot again. And by the last Wednesday, when we got the reduction, I was surprised, Ken. They went down 0.5%. I thought it was 25, but that's good as 0.5%.
Yeah, it was 0.5%. Yeah. It wasn't unanimous. There was one person on the committee that voted.
I thought it would be more people say no.
Yeah, but it was So this was the first time, I think, I don't know since when, but that it was not a unanimous decision, but it was a 0.5 point.
Yeah.
And then the message that I got out of the meeting and from what the analysts are speculating is that the rate, we could see a further rate reduction for 2024. And then they're talking about the rate going down an additional 2 points by the end of 2025, which would really be phenomenal. And I think also because we're in an election year, so there's a lot of different factors coming in, but rates tend to come down. Inflation is going in the right direction. They said, I don't know how close we are to the 2%, but they said it's trending in that direction. So they're very, I guess in fairness, the Fed is saying, look, we can't make any future promises. Whenever we meet, we'll just have to look at the data. The data came in very favorable for this meeting that they had the past Wednesday. And so based on that, they made their decisions to reduce the interest.
Regardless the reason, Ken, we're happy.
Yeah,
it's like we haven't, just like the farmers, right? Haven't rained for a long time. Now this first big rain, that you can see the
joy,
the joy and the possibility, because the once the rate is going down so much, right? The definitely gonna help buyers' affordability, and also is gonna help a lot of people refinance and to get a better rate. It's all good. It's all good.
Speaking of refinance, I think we spoke. We had Joe last week on the show, Joe Urcioli from Crown Home Mortgage, and he was telling us, I don't know if we mentioned on the air, but the refinance is picking up for the people that took a loan the last couple of years in the 7s, maybe. Yeah. Now that the the high 7s, I should say, now that the rate has come back down, it's starting to make sense for those buyers that have those types of loans to look at consider refinancing, because they could save. I think they can save a few $100 a month.
Yeah, and also the reason is a very tight inventory. One of the reason is a lot of people, they couldn't give up the low interest, like a 2.5–3%, and then to buy another house with a much like over 7%. So now the rate coming down a lot. So definitely helping those people is going to the seller/buyer. They can take a leap of faith and to buy their dream home.
Right, because the people that were in the last, the beginning of the year up until the summer, the people that were listing the homes because of the low inventory were only those people that had to move out of necessity.
Or they have a place to be.
Or they have a place to be, and they just want to move out of the town or out of the state.
Yes.
So that's a big, that's true. That'll open up the buyer, the possibilities, actually the seller pool for more sellers to consider putting their home on the market if they don't have to get hit with such a dramatic increase.
That's definitely going to help with the liquidity of inventory in the market.
Okay. Why don't we take a short break? We'll be right back after these messages. Okay, welcome back to our show. We're doing a market recap for the first 3 quarters of 2024. So we gave a history of the market conditions with the rate starting from January through the summer, and then how the houses were still moving. Then the summer, we hit a little bump on June 15th. Through the summer, the housing market took a little bit of a vacation, just like the summer people took a vacation, right? And it's kind of now picked up. And now we're at the end of September. But after Labor Day, you saw you saw an increase, just like our mortgage guy Joe was saying last show, that the phone started ringing more frequently.
Yeah. I think this week, since the Fed cut the rate, the phone ring even more, and you can see a lot of showing happening, a lot of the market, a lot of offer coming, start negotiating, because at the end of the day, Ken, as you know, the buyer's driven by the monthly payment. So now suddenly, if the rate dropped so much, if they can lower their monthly payment, they suddenly can afford to pay the price. So that's really all good news. And going forward, I already seeing, I don't know if it's coincident or anything. Last 2 weeks, personally, I have a lot of listings coming in. But I don't think this is because the rate cut, the new home came in. That's those people most of them I talked a lot, like 6 months or a year ago, they were not ready for one another, this and that, but now suddenly ready. So for those sellers is a good news, because now the rate went down, that they're going to have very strong buyer pool in the fall.
It's going to have more competition. It's going to have more buyer pool, and when you have more people interested, because the interest rates will tend to bid up the homes that are most desirable.
Yes.
So
I think there'll be more inventory as well, Ken, just as we talk about, right? During the COVID, there's a big percentage. I think they said 50%, or there was really big number they would talk about in our Remax meeting a few weeks ago. They said a lot of people bought a house and then they remorse. They somehow it's not what they wanted, but because the COVID there was a very low inventory, they couldn't think. They just have to buy it on the emotion, right? So now they want to change homes. So those sellers would really can do that, and that would add more liquidity to the inventory market. So even though Ken, you said because the reduction in the mortgage rate, you have a lot of more buyer can do it. But I think at the same time, there would be a lot of inventory hit the market. I think the market is going to be more stable and affordable, and a lot of activities, which is good for everyone.
Well, for the same reason that the buyers can do it now, that it'll increase the inventory, because the sellers can also do it, because now if they're locked into a 3.5 or 4% mortgage, if the rates are what they are, if they need to move, it's not as ominous if they have to go from a 4% loan to a low 6 or 5 something, as it would have been if it was 7 or 8. So that means that the more sellers may be inclined to put their home on the market.
Absolutely. So that's definitely going to help everyone in the process. I think going forward, the last quarter I think can be maybe the best quarter. Because in winter market, even though the selling price went up, but the number of units sold is very limited because the price was driven up by lack of inventory. But in the last quarter this year, I think we're going to have a lot of inventory. It's not overly, I'm just saying more inventory, but we'll have more buyers coming out too. Think about it, Ken. When you rent last few years, the rent went up so high. It's like
the rent, that's
make you dizzy, right? But now, if you go into the lender and ask for pre-approval, if the lender told you, if you buy a house, similar to the one you rent or better house, actually you pay less in the mortgage than the rent. I mean, there's no brainer. You're going to buy. That's happened to me many years ago. Many years ago, I was very young. I was sharing with my girlfriend, and she got engaged. So obviously, I have to find another place. And went to the real estate company, try to find a rental, 1 bedroom by myself or share with another friend, which I don't know whether I would do that, And at that time, the guy said, if I can show you a property to purchase, you're going to pay almost the same or less. Would you do that? I said, can't be. How it can be? No way. And he showed me, and he introduced me to the lender. I went to the bank, and I got my money. I bought my first house. Because purely I didn't understand much at that time. I only based on I could own it instead of helping other people to pay off their mortgage. I own it, and then my monthly payment is equal or less compared with the rent.
The best advice that you can give to the young listeners out there is, as you get older, you should try to get some real estate. That's what I mean. There's so many stories about people that say they wish they had. I had some opportunities that I missed. I wish I had gotten some more real estate when I was younger, but I was, too conservative. But real estate, I mean, you should always have a diversified portfolio, but real estate should be part of your portfolio. And if you can get a house, and even if you get a 2-family house and you live in,
or get a
condo
in one of them, yourself,
and you rent the other one and use the rent to pay your mortgage. There's just so many things you can do with real estate, because number one, it's a tax write-off. It's hopefully will appreciate if it's in the right location. Long term, it always will appreciate, just like a blue chip stock will, and then you're getting the income, especially with real estate as investment, or commercial property as for investment. You're getting a rate of return, and you're getting that passive income besides the appreciation. So it's just it's really a win-win thing from all those perspectives. It's like not like you buy a car and the car it depreciates right off the shelf, but
as soon as you drive off the lot, you lost $5,000.
Yeah, you buy that Corvette.
That's you still talk about your Corvette for many years. You still haven't bought one yet.
Right,
the thing is, right, as you said, besides all the benefit you just mentioned, and real estate really is helping you to with the inflation too. you know. So I mean, the young people, if you have a great job there, and if you buy a small condo, townhouses, you can rent it later on when you could just keep it rented out when you buy a bigger place when you move on with your life stage, right? So you could rent it out. So I mean that's really, like you said, is diversify your portfolio.
And it doesn't matter what's happening with technology, with cryptocurrency, with all these AI advances, with computer technology, with Zoom meetings. People still need a place to live, to eat, to sleep.
That's
and
right.
you still need the brick and the mortar to and with a roof over your head. They haven't come up with the virtual homes yet, where you can snap your finger and you can create that structure. So that's real estate. So especially in New Jersey, where there's actually, I think there's still there's a shortage of rentals. So people this area is in high demand for rentals. So for the foreseeable future, New Jersey is a good place to invest for the rentals.
Yeah, I mean, just like we often talk, right? The home is not only a property. It's where you raise your family, or it's where you live. That's very important. Think about it. You have 24 hours. I mean, average people sleep 8 hours. You should sleep average 8 hours. So it's like, big chunk of your time is there. And plus, it's just like, for me, right, the home is like a safe harbor. It doesn't matter what happened outside. I always feel safe and happy when I return home. We have our dogs say hello to us. It's just like, it's so, it's just a life.
Your backdrop of your life.
That's a job backdrop. Exactly.
Sure.
It is like, and when you buy a home, you don't have to buy biggest, the largest, and most expensive. It's nothing to do with that. Your happiness is not depending on the price tag. It's really what make you happy, what you're looking for, know.
And I think real estate is considered a middle risk investment. I mean, the safest investments in terms of are obviously keep the money in the bank, in a CD, in a bond where you're guaranteed. I mean, there's not a guarantee with real estate, but it's somewhere in between the cash and the bonds. And it's in the middle, and then after that would be the stocks and the more, which are more volatile. Yeah. So it's a very good investment. Not that you should don't ever put all your eggs in one basket, but you want to have a certain amount of cash liquidity and a certain amount in real estate, and then of course you can talk to your planner, and also if you want to dabble in the financial market as well.
Sure. I mean, for the listener out there, if you bought a house last few years, you pay a high interest, maybe it's a time to meet your lender and to get refi rate. I think probably to the end of this year, the rate may go further down. Just talk to the professional, see whether you can refinance. That would definitely either reduce your monthly payment or reduce the year of the payment. So that's I'm always conservative. I'd rather reduce the year of the payment so I can pay back my mortgage sooner, or you can just, you can refinance and, whatever the saving you have, you could get a car or a lease or something. So at least you take advantage of the lower interest rate.
Right?
Buy another property. That's right. That's a good thing.
There you
go. For the people who are looking for, to looking for buying home, that's definitely a good time now.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do you see, though? It's very interesting because you projected that October, November, and December are going to be quite active and quite busy for the real estate. But in terms of, that's kind of counterintuitive because you would think that a lot of the homes involve families with children, and then typically that happens in the spring towards the summer. But as we've covered, the summer season was dead this year for the reasons, from June 15th till Labor Day. So, but you see that there's going to be a lot of transactions that are going to be done in the next till the end of the
last quarter. Yes, I believe so, Ken. In the past, right, a lot of people, especially in a good district, school district towns, right, typically they get busy in spring from Easter, when you put a flower out, you put your house on the market. A lot of people want to buy. They want to close.
Are blooming,
they want to
cherry blossoms.
That's right. They want to close in June, July before the school start. That's a traditional. You know why? I think one reason. I can't. I'm just my opinion. I think that time, right? A lot of people buying house, they have to save. They have to wait a long time. They're saving. Now, a lot of young people very successful. Say, I meet a couple the other day in the open house. The young couple, they just like 30, late 20, early 30, right? They just got married. They don't have a children yet. They're planning to have a family, and they both have very high income, so they could buy a $800,000 house no problem. They have 20% down. So this kind of lot of that young, and also a lot of buyers, right? When they have children, if the kids in the elementary school, it's very easy to switch. So only when you go middle school, especially high school, that's hard. But I can see a lot of compare with our age, right? A lot of younger age. I mean, 30, 40. To buying a bigger home. So that's really and for the townhouses, condos. I mean, a lot of young professionals just single
that's
buying
true.
A lot of income went up.
A lot of dual income, no kids.
Even one person. Used to be think about how much your dad, right? How slow the increase in the pay salary ran. Now a lot of people especially live in New Jersey, and they all have a very good education background. They have a very high income, very good credit, and it's pretty easy for them to get a mortgage.
And it's very affordable to get the mortgage, as we covered with the loan officer Joe Urcioli of Crown Home Mortgage last week. That typically you can put down if you qualify and you have excellent credit and a good job. There's special programs where you can put down as little as 3%
for single family, or 5% for the condo townhouses.
A lot of the people that have the savings and the cash choose to opt for the lowest, for the maximum loan, so they can use their capital for other purposes.
Absolutely. I mean, just a young, if you just graduate a young professional per se, if you put 5% down, right? I mean, if your monthly payment is equal or similar to your rent, why not accumulate your own wealth rather than pay off someone else, and you have a lot of freedom to do whatever you want. You want to paint the color you want to make changes. It's just your home,
That's right. Okay, we are almost out of time. So we're going to hold you to it. We're going to see in January of 2025, we're going to look back at that'll be our next market recap for the end of the year. I'm going to see now. Jane Muller said that October, November, December 2024 look to be a banner.
The best quarter in the year
of the year. So
leave the best to the last.
All right, stay tuned. We'll see you next week. Have a good one.
Thank you.